Hi, my name is Kristen and I'm your host for Icons of Naples, this series where we honor our Naples community heroes, our movers, shakers, and history makers who helped make our community the place we love to call home. Today, we are honored to sit down with someone who's been a Naples resident for 37 years. She has been through the community's growth, transformation, through both challenges and celebrations. From giving back to local charities and helping families put down roots. Today, we welcome Lauren Maxwell. Lauren, thank you so much for joining us. I am so excited that you could be here today.
I'm happy to be here. This is a beautiful place, and it's so great seeing you.
It's great seeing you again. I don't get to see you that often. You're so busy.
I'm lucky.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So let's jump in like a timeline, because a lot of people might know, oh, that's Lauren Maxwell. But where did you come from? What brought you here? My understanding is you moved here in 88?
1988.
And from Framingham.
Framingham, Massachusetts, Boston girl.
So what brought you to Naples?
Well, a boyfriend at the time.
Okay.
We were both from Boston. We both wanted warm weather. We looked all over Florida. And he had a friend who had a place in Naples. I never heard of Naples, Florida in the 80s. Yeah. And I came down to visit it with two girlfriends at the time. Fell in love. Went to, Fleischman Park. That beach over there? What's the beach there?
Oh, that's Loudermilk Park.
Loudermilk Park. And we had just the best time and moved here in October of 1988. I was 21 years old.
Wow. And
I never looked back.
Wow, that's incredible. So you've seen a lot of changes.
I've seen a lot of changes. I was really, I was a kid.
So your first impressions of the community when you first got here?
I loved it. I really did. I loved the beaches. I loved the palm trees. I loved how clean it was. You know, as far as business, I was still getting my own bearings. I was in the mortgage business. However, I wasn't who I am today. So I was growing, and I really did. There was nothing about Naples that I didn't love. We had the Pavilion. We had a Chinese restaurant, an Italian restaurant, and then we had the shopping center across the street from the mall. I don't know what it's called.
Yeah, I don't remember. Naples Plaza, I think it is.
Something like that. Yeah. Those were the main areas. I mean, there was no Vanderbilt Beach Road. There was Golden Gate Parkway. Yeah. And I don't even know where Airport Road started. I think it ended at Golden Gate Parkway at that point.
I think it did. Yeah. I think it did. Was the driving range still there? Across
Golden Gate?
There was a golf course driving range next to the mall. Was that still there, or was that finally gone back then?
I don't remember, but Golden Gate, there was a big driving range, and actually when I first came here, I lived in the fairways in Golden Gate. That was my first condo that we lived in.
Oh, wow. That's going back a little bit. But aren't those memories great? That
they
we
are
have
wonderful.
From back then?
Actually, believe it or not, my parents came to visit us in 1989, and it actually lightly snowed here. It was a January or February. It was crazy in 89. And so I love Naples today just like I did back then. It's just different, but I love it. Growth equals opportunity. I know, I see a lot of people saying, oh my gosh, it's overgrown. We're going to be like Miami. Well, we're not going to be like Miami because we don't have the restaurants and so forth on the beach. However, growth equals opportunity. At what point do you say, okay, well, now we're here, so you can't come? So, I mean, people want to come here. Who wouldn't want to come here? To me, it's the best place in the whole world.
I'm glad you put it that way, because people don't realize how big our county is. And so we were ripe for growth. I think it's how we grow. We have to look at how we grow, where we're growing, where it's happening, and how we manage mostly the roads, I think. I think that's where the frustration comes in for people.
And that is true, but that has to do a lot with the state. And going through the state and federal. There are state roads, there are federal roads. So they think everything can be controlled here by the county, and it just can't.
No.
So there's a lot of red tape, but it's okay. It will work itself out. But imagine if when I got here, I said, oh my God, it's so great. And then a few years later, it was starting to grow. I remember when Orange Blossom was being built off of, between Goodlid and Airport. And we thought, oh my gosh, who's going to live that far north? I mean, this is really, imagine if I said, oh, we shouldn't grow anymore. I mean, look at those communities. Yeah. So again, growth is good.
No, I'm not anti-growth at all. I mean, not just because I'm in real estate. I think that You have to bring in new people. There's an attrition that's going to happen. We are in a transient place where people come, they retire, then they have to sell their retirement place, move back to, or they've passed along. And so you need to always bring in new people. And I'm not an anti-growther. I think we just have to do it responsibly. That's it. Our affordable housing, I think, is where we're struggling right now. But I think all communities that go through the big growth that we just had always have that problem. I don't think it's unique to us.
I know that they've been meeting a lot with that because we have our Collier County housing as well, and we call it housing affordability. And I got called this week and was asking some questions because they're saying the average home in Naples is over $1 million. Well, I find that hard to believe considering I do 1 out of every 12 mortgages in the county and my average loan amount is about $390 to $405. And when I close 700-800 loans a year and I know where we're at, if I'm doing everyday loans for people that are buying from teachers to firemen to police to people who work at Sam's Club to nurses, they're all still buying homes. Now, they're not going to be buying on 41, or maybe north of 41. They're not going to be by the beach, but there is still plenty of housing. Just think when you're in a city, if you were going to live in Boston and you couldn't afford it, people drive to work 30 to 50 minutes every day. Chicago, Boston, New York, New Jersey. That's just it. We just get spoiled here because, of course, for me, I don't want to go more than 3 miles in every direction. So I get it, but that's just not a reality.
Right. I agree with you. Being from Connecticut, I totally get that. Because if you can't live in New York City, you're going to find a borough or you're going to find an outer part to live in. And you're just going to commute because, that's just part of life.
Right.
It really, if you want to be close to the things that you enjoy.
But there's a lot of houses now that I know that are east from here that are all under $450. So it's really working with the right real estate agent. No, this is real because true. I have certain agents who, when they call me and they say, "Oh, there's nothing for less than $750," and I don't argue. I just okay, and I know there is, but so there's a lot of different great agents who work with certain areas in the community, and you just have to find the right fit.
I agree with that, and the right mortgage broker.
Well, that's a given right here, Lauren Maxwell.
So I love your unique perspective on how it's grown and changed over almost the 4 decades. You see a lot of moves, I think, from my perspective. It looks like you see a lot of moves in development before they actually happen because you're in the world where people finance things. What do you think are some of those challenges when people are saying, I want to develop this part of town, but keeping the ambiance of Naples?
I don't actually see those large builders because I don't do commercial loans. So what happens is when somebody's looking at a new community, they call me because they need a pre-approval letter. And that's really how I find out about the communities more so than the commercial people. The big developers don't care what I think because I'm not lending them the money. So believe it or not, I don't actually know that. I know that, the big developers, the CC Homes, the Pulte's, the Lennars, the GLs, the Toll Brothers, the Christopher Allen, the DRs, they have more affordable projects for people, and I have a lot of people who are buying in those areas.
How do you feel about the ambiance that they create when they create a community versus like the lined streets? Because when we first got here, there was more just streets. Like Naples Park is just streets. Golden Gate Estates is just streets. It's not an actual development. Do you think that's just the wave of the future to bring in the infrastructure?
I think it's the wave of the future, and I think that young families really like it for children.
Oh,
There's
true.
things to do. Older people like it for retirement. You might have that middle of the road where people are already first and second time home buyers and maybe they don't want to live in the community, or working people who want to have work trucks and they want more land. So really it's a personal preference. I mean, there are times like we live in a community and now we have a speed thing. So believe it or not, we're up to $700 worth of tickets. Okay, I'm just saying, and I'm like, if I did not love my community so much, I'm like, what do I need this for? I love my community. I love all the other things. So you're going to take the good with the bad. It's never going to be perfect.
Right.
Just like my daughter lives on 3.5 acres of land in the estates. She loves it. That's her love language, having chickens and roosters, and I would have a heart attack. So we're all different. So it's a personal preference. What's right for me might not be right for you, and vice versa. So I say wherever somebody wants to move to for their circumstance at that point, it might be right for them for the first few years, and then they might want to change, or they might go into somewhere with land and say, you know what, it's too rural for me. I want to have more where my children can play with other kids and go to a community pool.
Well, in your business, you probably see a lot of that where people say, oh, I want this. And then they go, Lauren, I need to change.
That is true. And I'm happy because for me, I would like to show everybody, my goal is to have somebody buy five homes in 5 years. I want to show you your starter home or your starter multifamily for a year, and then you move on and on and on. You get to see what you like while you're building a collection of homes. So you're building financial freedom.
That's a great, okay, everybody, great business idea. Talk to Lauren.
And I did it. So I like to teach people what I did because I didn't have a teacher. It was just by luck being in the mortgage business, knowing real estate. So, it's stuff that I do. I put my money where my mouth is. And I still love to dabble in real estate.
I'll have to have you talk to my son because he keeps saying, Mom, maybe I should buy a duplex.
Triplex, duplex, triplex, fourplex.
And then maybe I can buy a house. And then maybe, and I'm like, you have to talk to somebody because I'm your mother. You're only going to listen to part of what I say.
Oh, he needs to call me.
So he needs to call you.
Like today.
Yeah, I'll have him call you for sure. So you and I, again, going back to, some historical things, we know that small town Naples, and I think there's still a lot of that charm. What would be for you that still stands out as like, oh, we still have this charming area of town I just like going there because it reminds me of.
Truthfully, so much of it. So, for instance, all of my children were born in North Naples Hospital. My grandchildren were born there. The same doctor who delivered all three of my kids delivered all three of my grandbabies. So I like just going to North Naples Hospital is charming to me. On the weekends, we take bike rides, my husband and I, and we take our grandson, and we go to all the parks. Look at our gorgeous parks that we have. Public parks free to everybody. So we go ride through the, off of Goodlet Road. I'm sorry, Golden Gate Parkway.
Oh, okay.
So all of the trails and the parks, we go to the park, and then we end up downtown, and we go for breakfast downtown. So whether it's for breakfast in the mornings on the weekends, or my husband and I are walking around downtown at night, it's busier, but it's still charming. I say to him, if we didn't live here already and we were visiting, we would move here, or we'd have a second home here.
Yeah.
So I just think there's so many areas you could find charm in anything, or you could be negative in something, right?
I agree.
And to me, Naples is still charming. Pulling in here, this is the most gorgeous structure, right? I mean, this is charming. It might be big, but it's charming. We're in a beautiful room right now at the Gulf Shore Playhouse. It's charming. So all of Naples is charming.
And this was a big change for this area.
And this was.
But yet, I believe it enhances the community.
Oh my gosh, we're bringing arts. Look at Bayshore Drive. Bayshore Drive 15, 20 years ago was full of drugs, prostitutes, crime, shootings, okay? And now look at what they're doing at Bayshore of the Arts District. We actually just did a fashion show there last week, but they are just, if you drive down there, look at how clean that is. And then, of course, look at our pickleball world. Look at what we are doing to bring jobs and enhance our streets in the community. So I can give you 1,000 things of greatness, and it would be hard for me to find something negative.
I love your perspective, especially because, we hear so much about our growth and our change. And one of the reasons we wanted to do this podcast was not only to celebrate the icons who've been here forever and been here a long time or help create it, but also help shape it. And you're one of those people who are helping shape it by what you do and what you give back to the community. And, as well as I do, we hear a lot of this negative. And it's such a refreshing moment to hear, we all love that, but look at what we have now to also love.
Mm-hmm. That is true. I mean, we have a zoo, even though we've had it, but it keeps growing.
Yes.
I mean, we have our museum. So there's more things to do. I mean, I still believe we need more things for teenagers. I think we should get a roller skating rink. But our movie theaters are beautiful. Our shopping's beautiful. So again, I think the world of Naples. And I can tell you that I go away in the summer. It's a little hot. And I have another office in Georgia, which is another beautiful resort area, similar to Naples. It's called Lake Oconee, and it's beautiful. Okay. However, after 2 or 3 months, it's still no Naples. And I can tell you that I was very happy to come home. I love going there to visit, and I'll stay there for, a few months. Maybe one day when my youngest is out of school, I might even stay there for 4 months. But again, it is no Naples. I mean, we live in a special place. And you know what? With all due respect for people who don't like it, this is a free country. They can move.
Agreed.
They can move to rural places that are, maybe lower in cost. And doesn't have as much growth. One day it will have that growth, but this is the nice thing: sell your property, and move. It's okay. We'll miss you. You'll come back and visit because you'll appreciate it.
I agree, but most people don't realize that a lot of places in Florida are on a track for growth, even though real estate might not be doing, well right now in some areas of Florida. We are still a young state when it comes to growth. And it worked in the east side, and now we're working towards the west side. And all of a sudden, these little towns that were like Ocala and places like that, people found them.
People found them. I'm just going to go back for a second. We have over 9,000 real estate agents.
I know.
Okay. I can tell you July was not only for me one of my busiest months ever. Okay. For our company, we're the number one mortgage company in the country, retail and non-QM. We closed over $4.2 billion in July. So on a national level, we were busier even than COVID. And for the Maxwell mortgage team, we closed over $36 million of business. So I'm going to say that I don't think it's not busy. I think if you're priced right, and I'm not saying to give away your property, if you're priced right and you have an aggressive real estate agent and you're a qualified buyer, you can buy a house here. Now, don't lowball to where you're going to make the seller angry. That's different. Nobody's giving away, but it can be fair. So if you can both, the seller and the buyer, take the heart out of it, and it's your business, it's your home. And if you feel comfortable and you can afford the payment, really, if you pay $8,000 more than you wanted to and your payment's $36 more a month and you don't buy it, well, that's on you. And that's a decision you can make. However, we're doing deals left and right on a daily basis, and it is busy. Since Saturday, I've taken in 11 contracts. So I don't think the Naples real estate market is slow.
I have to agree with you. It's all in pricing. It's all in pricing and how you market your home and what you do to create the sale. I think there's a lot of people out there, and in business in general, they do things to block it. And I'm like, why? Why are you doing that? Please don't do that.
Or
I'm trying
a buyer
to help you.
Who wants something at $100,000 less on $400,000 or $600,000. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you have to be realistic. So that's the job as a really great real estate agent like yourself, is to have your buyers in a right frame of mind and a seller in a right frame of mind. Don't take it personally.
No, and it's property. At the end of the day, it might be your home for a while, for a stage, but I find once people get over we are making this decision, then they're excited to get to the next space.
Yeah,
and that brings us back to the Naples growth and the changes that we have seen. I think that when people come here, they say, okay, I love the ambiance and things like that, but they also have to realize that it's going to change over time. I think you got here a little bit after I did. So I've seen three significant changes in town. And I got here in 78.
Oh, wow.
So from 78 to 80s, we didn't have Kings Lake. That came in during that time. Foxfire came in during that time. All these places that I'm mentioning are like Davis Boulevard. So all these places came in during that time. So we saw, my mom was in real estate and she started in 80. So we saw those initial developments on these roads that were literally 2-lane.
Speaking of that, in 1989, I became the operations manager for Centex Homes. I had left a small bank that I was at, and I was working in a trailer when we first started in Crown Point.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
And I was doing a lot of loans for Centex Homes in Berkshire, and they had developed Crown Point. So I understand that completely. And that was my area where I grew here.
So you then see, and I think that's what people don't understand is, there's areas of places in Naples that go through these phases. And that was a big deal because we lived over behind the old Hodges Funeral Home on 41. So we lived in that area. And my mom would drive all the way out.
All the way out, which is now 12 minutes, right? It was probably 20 back then.
Yeah, all the way out to Davis Boulevard to sell Kings Lake.
Okay.
And now people are like, oh, you know where I'd like to live? I think Kings Lake is close to things. And I'm like, and it's yes, it is now, because you're shopping close by in the grocery store and gas station and things like that. And I'm like, yeah, but back then.
Back then it wasn't. Yeah, right now it's even close to a bowling alley. So going back to real estate, when I talk to you about affordability, you know, there are some manufactured home areas back there that are in nicer communities that you actually own the land. Yeah. Don't laugh. I even own a couple of them for rentals, but they're like, those are affordable. So if people are retiring here and let's just say their kids are here and they go, oh my God, I can't afford something, but they're over 55, you could still buy in there for under $280.
I have cousins who live in there.
Right? You know what I'm talking about? There's a few of them, but there's one particular one I won't say because I don't want to disparage any of the others, but there's places that are affordable for everyone if you really want to live here.
Agreed. I agree. You just have to have a good real estate agent.
That's right.
Just saying. So looking back on your years here, what moments can you look back on and you say, wow, that really made me feel connected to the community? Like, I remember that. It just really hit my soul of being a Neapolitan.
Well, I think raising my kids here and being a new mom, we were very active with our temple here because we were a new couple and my daughter was born and there weren't that many young families. So we had her baby naming, I remember, in 1992, Christmas Day night. Wow. And from there were other young couples that were there and they all immediately gravitated towards us because we were a new young couple with, I think, the first kid. You know, we were young. We were 24 years old. And we really made a group of friends there that we stayed friendly with for a long time. And that was my first real connection. Community. Having made, think 6 to 10 couples. And then all of us started having kids. None of us had, you know, any money. We were all recently married, raising kids, new jobs. We were all starting to maybe build houses or buy condos. So we all had that connection. It was a really big family feel for us in the early 90s for a long time.
Oh, that's special.
Yeah, it was
great. Thanks for sharing that. That's awesome. Now, part of your community work in the community is you give back a tremendous amount. I mean, you are a godsend to many people, what your team do. You host Thanksgiving meal drives and the backpack collections, along with other things. Is there a story there or a child that touched you in those efforts through these years?
I mean, there's so many. Back in the early days in the 90s, even when we were just, growing, we had so much. And I had a friend who once took me out to Immokalee. I don't remember why, but it really did touch me, watching kids out there in trailers with mattresses on the floor, literally with chickens running through the trailers, that we started to go out there every couple of months and we would bring sneakers.
Oh, that's
sneakers.
Nice.
We did sneakers, and we had a Payless right near our house on Airport and Pine Ridge. So I would take my kids, and they were probably, I don't know, between 5 and 8. I don't remember now, but I was teaching them math at the same time anyway. So instead of in the car saying, hey, 2 M&Ms plus 4 chiclets, I would give them money and to go buy them any amount of shoes they can for the cheapest amount, and the winner would get $20. Anyway, so I would do math, and we would go out there every couple of months on a Sunday, and we would bring, say, 100 pairs of sneakers. And we would also have a ice cream truck come, and we would go to McDonald's, and we would do that because I wanted to show my kids that the world isn't just how they live in Naples. Because let's face it, we are in La La Land. Everyone, even when you don't have money, you still all had nice cars, you all had nice houses. So that was important to me, and that changed me. I never had really seen poverty like that. And the fact is that we still have poverty like that, which is so shocking to me. And so even though I think that I wish I was equipped to do more education. I'm not a teacher like that. I only know mortgages. I help whatever I can financially and for supplies. So we're always collecting supplies as well. I'm not sure why we don't have more education out there to change Immokalee. I mean, it's changing a little, but I've been here now for 36 years. It hasn't changed like it should. And I don't get that. So we want to supply whatever we can because it's not the children's fault. It just really isn't. Yeah. So these kids touch my heart when I go out there. We'll still go out there. Like, I buy things for them, and maybe every other year for Thanksgiving or Christmas, we actually will go out there as well and go to a family's home. And that I leave there thinking how lucky we are, but saying in my next life, there has to be something different that I could do for educating.
I find the same thing because from being here for so long, and I grew up 4 people. A lot of people don't know that, but I grew up 4 people in 850 square feet with 1 bathroom.
Wow.
Right here in town. My family, we worked for everything we had. There was never any extra. We always had a roof and we always had food. But, shopping at Bargain Basement when it was over on Seagate Drive, that's what we did. That just was how it was. And I never thought there was anything different. And it was always neat seeing the Ruttenberg homes. We'd go to the open houses on Creighton Road. And my grandfather was he loved going there and he loved showing people the Naples life. I think that's why my mom went into real estate, because he was always showing it. And then, of course, I did. And then when I was finally at a place where I had a little bit of money, I would find these pockets throughout Naples that are still there from when I was younger.
Yes.
And I'm like, I don't want them to gentrify, because then they won't have a place to go. So there's a balance. You got to be kind of careful where we want to improve the life, but there's got to be a way that they can educate and find a way to uplift them out of that poverty level. And it's amazing what you find. We're on Goodlet Road now. So Airport Road, out on, Davis, just past over by Berkshire. There's just these little pockets.
East Naples, even just behind us here, was at River Park.
Yeah.
So again, I think it all starts with education. It's not my wheelhouse. I just don't know. So that's why I like to give back to anything that has to do with children, because they're brought into this world. They don't choose who their families are, what they know, what they have.
Yeah. Well, I think, who knows, maybe through this podcast, someone will pick up that torch. You never know.
And they do. I see there's stuff going on. It's just,
It's. I think there's more. We're noticing certain things more that need to be helped.
Well, the Immokalee Foundation's amazing, what they're doing.
Yes.
Again, there's just still a lot of trailers out there.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of trailers in East Naples. I know a lot of women who are philanthropists here, and they give their time to schools here. And I think that's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
And East Naples has a lot of poverty.
Yeah, it does. I think it's scattered throughout the state of Florida. Mm-hmm. It is. So you've, again, been here through a few hurricanes, housing booms and busts.
Yeah.
And, of course, our rapid development. What do you think out of those has had the most impact on Naples from your personal perspective and then from your business perspective?
So personal perspective, not that it has affected me like it's affected others, but of course our hurricanes over the past, 10 years, 8 years? I was here for all of these years, and up until 2017,
Irma,
the hurricanes were not really a big deal. In 1992, I was here through Andrew. I had just had a baby, and we were building a house. And I remember I couldn't afford a tile roof. It was a shingle roof, or not shingle. Shingle roof. So I remember the shingles coming off, not tiles. Nothing major, not that I remember. Again, it was more the East Coast, but it was a big deal for here in 92. Right. And the other hurricanes, I never found to be that big of a deal until 2017, where they really affected people. So that was sad. I saw a lot of people displaced. For business, I went through the crash just like everybody else in 2007. One day I was doing... 1 year I'm doing $65 million a year alone in business. And the other day you could barely get a job in a mortgage company because you couldn't lend, because there were no banks that were lending their money to the mortgage companies to lend. So literally I had to sell my big house. I had a house in Pelican Marsh, and I had 2 cars at the time. I'm like, what do I need 2 cars for? I totally changed my habits. My company went bankrupt that I worked for. I lost all my deferred comp. Stock market crashed. I had 7 properties building in Fort Myers. The builders all walked away. I was responsible still for all of these. So literally I changed everything. And I bought a condo. I was a single mom at the time. I moved into the vineyards in a condo, and I thought, you know what? This is where I'm going to be. I'm fine. I'm just going to change my whole lifestyle. I will, do a few loans a month. I got a job for a bank. Flagstar Bank was about the only retail bank hiring anywhere in the country. So I worked for them for a year, and I was going to be fine. My life was going to be different, though. And then gradually, just staying in the business year after year, I was getting busier and busier and busier. I wasn't looking for that. I was really going to be very complacent. changing my life. And my high back then was a $65 million a year, business. And now I do over 200 million a year. So again, it grew. And that's my love language and why I like to give back, because it was something I never expected to happen, and it did. So I'm so grateful that I want to give back to whoever I can and help whoever I can.
No, I love that. I love that story of perseverance and
Never
overcoming.
give up, never surrender.
It's so true. So true. The next question was, what have you learned about resilience?
Never give up, never surrender. So people would say, well, what are you going to do now? Well, what did they think I was going to do?
Yeah.
Go work in a department store selling, perfume. I mean, I only know mortgages. It's the one career I've had this career since 1987, the day I got out of college. It's all I've ever done.
That's like me with real estate.
So I just did it less, and it was okay. I liked it. I mean, listen, for a couple of days when I first, got the news your company has imploded, I thought it was like, oh, well, they might be having problems, but it can't be me. I'm still busy. And it's like, no, we're closed. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm the sole supporter of my home. Yeah. I have 2 kids. Back then I only had 2, and I was scared, but I remember a friend of mine, actually Kevin Stoneburner from across the street at Bayfront, was a good friend of mine. He said, hey, we're all getting together. We're going to go to New Jersey. Come, we're going to go on a gambling trip. I'm like, I can't, I just like, my company's out. Literally 10 minutes later, I get a call from Flagstar Bank. They called 10 people around the country to come and meet them in New Jersey to go interview, and they were going to take the top producers from around. So I called Kevin back. I'm like, okay, I'm in. That's what happened. I went gambling. I had my interview. The next week, they flew me up to Flint, Michigan at Flagstar, and the 10 of us all started there. But again, it was the only thing I had to do that. So that was the only thing I knew, and I was just going to do it in a lot less pace. Anybody can change their lifestyle.
Yeah.
I didn't shop as much. Yeah. I didn't go out for dinner as much. I might not have kept my housekeeper as much. You can change. Yeah. So, when you start from the beginning, I started in this business making $17,000 a year. Yeah. And I think my husband was probably making 18. This is how, we were never had money. So that wasn't our love language. And truthfully, even today, people think I'm fancy or like I was born like this. It's still not my love language. I love helping people.
Yeah, it's evident. It's evident by the things you do in the community. So you have the resilience, for sure. How do you think Naples as a community has been resilient through the market crash and the hurricanes? When you look at that, the community when they come together, or what do you think of Naples community resilience?
Oh my gosh, we have so many people who do so much. I mean, the day after the last hurricane, when I went away, my husband was here, and I came down and we brought a bunch of things from the East Coast, and we were going to go deliver them. And we're downtown. I wanted to see what was going on with the properties, and half the restaurants that were all family owned were already open. Yeah. The only ones that really weren't open were the corporate restaurants. Right. Starbucks wasn't open, but all the family-owned ones, from the Chops and the Yabas, they were all opened, Alberto's. Mm-hmm. So I thought it was amazing. And then in East Naples, there were all these people out there. My husband and I went to the manufactured homes, and we were bringing all kinds of toiletries there because they got hurt really bad. So as a community, there were so many people, the same people who do so much, but people that we didn't even see before, brushing, going down to, what was the area behind SD Avenue area. Right. So I think as a community, I've never seen anything like it, from monetarily to they giving their time to giving their work ethic. It's amazing. So whether it's from a hurricane, whether it was the crash, I mean, we picked up, yes, it was still hard. A lot of people were hurt, but there were still things going on in Naples. I
think Naples is very resilient, and because there's always this thing, like we all go in our garage and walk in our house, and the only time we're really outside is when we check our mail, because we have landscapers and things like that. But when there's a hurricane, it's like everybody comes outside.
Yeah.
Everybody sees the tree, or they know their neighbor's not here right now because it's October and they're not coming down till February, and you see them over there, making sure that there's no damage, and just things that you don't like. I'm getting goosebumps.
Know, right?
I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, because you don't see that on a daily basis, but when something happens, it's incredible.
Well, you actually don't even realize what happens behind the scenes with before, when my husband was working as a police officer, he could never either leave with us or do anything. He was literally living there in school, sleeping on floors because, police were doing different things. So they don't realize that they're there for 3, 4, 5 days. They're not coming home to see their own families or helping their own families. But now that he was a commissioner, we were out going in his truck to just see where the storm damage was coming up with the water when we were getting the water surges. So we were all down Bayshore, up and down every street as he's calling in to the facilities people to see where they needed to come in on the street so people could leave. And the facilities people were all out there. You wouldn't know this. They don't advertise this. They don't brag about it. This is their job, but they are behind the scenes to make sure we're not crushed even more. We were up and down every single street down Bayshore, for hours, and he was on the phone with the different people from the county. And these were on Saturdays, Sundays. It doesn't matter. There was never, I don't work on a weekend. So they are there. That's why our county, between the police, between everybody at the county and the facilities and the planning and the water people, they're all out there just behind the scenes. You don't know it. But that's why after a hurricane, within a couple of days, we're beautified again. That doesn't happen in most counties.
It doesn't happen without everyone working together. Mm-hmm. That's another thing I noticed with Irma. I mean, I worked hurricanes that were outside of here for years after Katrina, and I watched that. For some reason, it touched me. So every time there was a storm, I tried to see where I could pitch in or connect people. I might not live there, but I know somebody who lives close by and somebody's trying to get stuff there and that kind of thing. But what I noticed after Irma was it was incredible how people came together, because we didn't get the water, but we had the wind.
Yes.
And I'd seen the destruction like that before from being to other areas that had been hit, especially on the other coast.
Was that the one in 17?
That was one in 17.
And which is the one we had the water?
The water was Ian.
That's the one you lost your house.
That's when I lost my house. So Irma was in 17, and Ian was the one that I lost my house, the flood. So one was a wind event and one was a water event. And one thing I noticed was I had been to the other coast after one of our 2005, 4, whatever ones, and I saw what they went through and the piles and piles of debris and things. We had never seen that here.
Yeah.
And people were there. It's like a PTSD. It can be traumatizing. And to get those off the roadways for people, not to just beautify our town back, but there's a thing when people can go to work and everything at work is normal. And then they come home and they see these piles of debris. It brings them back to so I don't think people understand all the work that goes behind the scenes.
Yes.
To get it done is
waste
for everybody's
management.
Physical health, because it's dangerous and, you can get, the rats start to come out and you can get fungus starts to develop and people can get sick from the debris. It's also for mentally
health. Coming to see that mess.
I mean,
everybody wants to come home to have peace.
And that's what it is. It's a mental peace after the chaos. So when you talk about the things like the county commissioners do and things like that, when I grew up here, there were less commissioners and it was smaller, when I first started. And my mom knew somebody who knew somebody. And, we were loosely connected to people because a lot through real estate too, through development.
Sure.
Not that they were connected, but they had to work with the county. And then in real estate, you had to go to the county if you needed to do anything back then. If you were looking for a plat, you had to go to the county and get the microfiche, and they only let you take one at a time. You had to put it in, you had to slide it around, and then give it back and get another one, or tax information. You had to go to the tax collector. So you got to know people a little differently back then. So I got to see a lot of the behind the scenes from going down to the county a lot. And you now sharing with everybody, they don't understand all the stuff the commission does and all the stuff that goes on during a hurricane or just during, a bad rainstorm downtown.
Yeah.
The flooding that happens or the water gates and all that we didn't have those before. Airport Road just flooded.
It just flooded. That is true. It's getting better too.
Yeah. And now that they did all that work, which is water management, people don't realize we don't have those problems anymore.
That's true.
So I'm glad you shared that with us. Let's see. Oh, yeah. I wanted to ask you. So being a lender here in town for so long, you've seen generations buy houses and neighborhoods. And yesterday we had on someone whose family had bought a whole entire section and they lived in it called Anthony Court. And they came here in the 50s. So how, as a mortgage broker and in your business, have you seen generations of families settle here?
Well, first, I'm a mortgage banker.
A banker,
I'm a direct lender.
Yeah.
I don't broker loans. It's all our own money. I've done loans for people over and over again and their children. I haven't done grandchildren's yet, thank goodness. But I've done many with their children and then their siblings. So I get a lot of my business. It's all from referral, word of mouth, because I've been here for so long. So I love watching them move up and up and up. I mean, there's a lady, I've done her mortgage, 25 years ago, and she's so cute. She comes in and now she owns 4 properties. She's a single mom, hardworking nurse, and I've seen her through the beginning. And I just love it when she comes in. Like, my heart is so happy. And I mean, when she retires, she's going to have all of her mortgages almost all paid off because she's collecting the rents from them, and then she pays one and then the other, and she's going to be able to live on that rental income. That makes me happy.
See, now you're also giving a perspective of almost like hope, because the news likes to talk about people leaving. Oh, they can't afford here, they're leaving here. And I'm like, there's generations still here.
Yes,
I talked to somebody yesterday who's on, I think it's their 4th generation. I have another person coming on who they're on their 6th generation. But all we hear about on the media is how people leave Naples.
So I don't know how many generations this would be, but when I came here 21 years old, my parents moved here 3 years later. So now my parents are here. My children were all raised here. They're still here. My grandchildren are here. So even though my parents didn't start it, I guess we're 4 generations, right?
Right.
And when my kids went off to school, to college, went through high school, they're like, oh, we're going to go away and we're never coming back to Naples. Well, 1 year later, they both transferred to FGCU because guess what? They miss La La Land.
Yeah.
They miss Naples, Florida. We are special. And again, if it's not for everybody, that's okay. But I think the 80-20 rule, I believe that 80% of the people do feel Naples is very special and love it. And there are still new people coming here every day. I talk to them on the phone and I always ask them, what's bringing you here? And I can tell you, people from California and New Jersey and Massachusetts, they love it here. So I'm not being political. They love it here. They think the taxes here are lower.
Yes.
Okay. Things here aren't as expensive and they can afford it here. So I guess it's all a perspective, but those are people who are coming here. People from Chicago are coming here all the time.
Yeah.
So they buy second homes here and then they're calling me 2 years later and go, we can't take it anymore, or with the sports or whatever it is. And they're moving here because they want their kids to be able to be outside all the time and be safe. We live in a very safe area.
Yeah. I think their 80-20 rule is true. And I think they just, they throw out the 20% for the news. And I think the hurricanes changed it a lot. We did lose some older families.
Yes.
They just couldn't stay in their homes, that original Ruttenberg home out on Creighton Road anymore because it was destroyed or for whatever reasons, and they're elderly at this point. But that, I think, is just a natural attrition of a community. It's going to change. All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today, Lauren. I really appreciate your insight into Naples as a community and all of your anecdotal stories, and also as your mortgages, and from really bust to boom.
Bust to boom.
I love that.
Nothing to something.
And that's our show for today. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you on the next episode. Special thank you to Gulf Shore Playhouse for allowing us to use their beautiful space today here in the Founders Lounge. And a special thank you to Robert of Philadelphia for continuing to be our series sponsor. You can find all the episodes of Icons of Naples on your favorite podcast platform as well as YouTube. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. We'll see you again on the next episode of Icons of Naples.